Hello everybody, it's Dana Sullivan, your Stampin' Chick, here with another Make It Monday! How are you today, my friends? I hope you're having a fabulous Monday, and I hope you had a fantastic weekend as well. Mine is now officially better because I'm here with you. Well, as this is the last Monday of the month, that means not only is it Make It Monday, which I absolutely love, but it is also the Stamper Showcase Blog Hop! Woo-hoo! Alright, y'all know how much I absolutely love the Stamper Showcase Blog Hop, and this month's theme is all about summertime. So where I live, there are a few big golf courses around, and so golf is a really big thing here. And I thought that I would make some cute Father's Day cards featuring the Clubhouse Stampin' Dies and Country Club suite because I haven't really got a chance to use it very much, and it's going to be going away the first week of June. So I thought I would use it up a little bit more, and you know what? It's so cute. I love it. Okay, so here's what you're going to need, all right? You're going to need a piece of Night of Navy cardstock that measures 4 1/4 by 11 inches, scored at 5 1/2. So we're going to do this fun vertical card. And then you're going to need a piece of Whisper White cardstock for the inside that measures 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. You'll need a piece of that absolutely fabulous Designer Series paper that measures also 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. And then I have a strip of garden green cardstock that measures 3/4 of an inch by 5 1/2 inches. And I've already run it through the Argyle embossing folder because it matches the suite perfectly and it's going to be great. Then I have pre-stamped my golfing buddy here in basic gray ink. So you'll need basic gray ink and of course some Whisper White to stamp this guy on. And I have a couple of elements here that I've already pre-cut. This is the laurel for the, what do you call this? I want to call it a plaque or whatever, but okay, we'll call it a plaque. The laurel wreath here, I've gone ahead and pre-cut it in garden green as well. And then I decided I wanted a layered background for the plaque itself, and so I've got that cut in Poppy Parade. Now, I want to talk to you about this one for just a second because I want to tell you how I did it. So the die, well, if I can get it out, the die actually cuts the inside of the plaque out, so it just cuts the outline. But I wanted it to have a matted layer as well. So what I did is I got a scrap piece of Poppy Parade and I laid the die with the back side down and I just cut around it. And it makes a great matte layer and just the right amount of matte all the way around. Okay, so that's how I got that. And then I'm going to show you how I got the different colors on my plaque. Okay, now I've got my stamp here and I have 3 colors of Stampin' Write markers. I've got Night of Navy, Poppy Parade, and Mango Melody. And I'm going to use the brush tip on these. Now, one rule to remember is that you can use Stampin' Write markers to paint directly onto your stamps, but you do not want to use Stampin' Blends to go directly onto your stamps because the Stampin' Write markers are dye-based ink that are in marker form and they will wash off beautifully and they leave a great impression. Stampin' Blends, on the other hand, are alcohol-based markers and they will stain your stamps. They don't stamp very well from the stamp to the paper, and it's just not good, okay? So use your Stampin' Write markers to color directly onto your stamps. Use your Stampin' Blends markers to color directly onto your paper, okay? All right, I hope that was clear. Now, I'm gonna need a scrap piece of paper so that I can stamp my Happy Father's Day plaque. You're also going to need some crushed curry crinkled seam binding ribbon. This is what I'm going to use on the front of my card here, but we'll need that here in just a minute. Okay, now basically you're just going to use kind of the edge of the tip. You don't necessarily want to use right on the point, but you can use the side of your tip and just brush it across the parts that you want to color, okay? Now it's totally alright to turn your stamp whichever direction you need to turn it to get a good angle. That's a-okay, alright? Let me get this done here. And of course, by doing this, you can actually cover spots that you want to stamp and omit spots that you don't. So if I didn't want the golf ball and flags up there, I could just leave it off. And that's the wonderful thing about direct to stamp coloring. Alright, now I can come in and I can put my little line here. Just like so. And you just want to be kind of careful. You see that I am using a little more of the tip, but I'm being super careful. If you put too much pressure on the tip of your marker, you'll bend it, and then it won't mark right. It won't have as much precision, which would really stink. So let's just be super gentle with our markers. And I'm still trying to use the side as much as possible. So even though I'm closer to the tip, I'm still using the side of it. I'm not really pressing the tip itself directly onto the stamp. Okay. Alright, so there's that. And I'm going to come around here. And so once you get all of the colors how you want them, then you'll come back around and you'll huff on the stamp. Now I know we've done this before together. I remember saying, okay, now huff on the stamp. So it just activates the ink, because as you can possibly see, maybe you can't, but the navy color that I did first is actually starting to dry a little bit already. And the red is too. And so if we huff on the stamp, then that just reactivates the moisture in the ink. And then give it a good front press. And when you lift off, you have 3 colors of ink on your image with just one stamping. Okay, now I can run this through the Big Shot and die cut it out, and of course through the magic of television we already have one done. Alright, so now let's go ahead and work on assembling our card. First thing I want to do is get a hold of this Whisper White layer. And, you know, I always say this, no naked insides and no naked envelopes, right? So I'm using my basic gray ink and that golf ball, and I'm just stamping it directly on there. And you know what? While we're at it, so that we can get the envelopes done as well, I'll go ahead and get an envelope out. And I'm going to get 2 envelopes because I didn't make one yet for the other card. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp that same image on the fronts of my card, or on the fronts of my envelopes. You know what I mean. Alright, there we go. Now, let me get that out of the way. Okay, now I can take this piece and put some adhesive on the back. And I'm going to go ahead and stick this bugger inside the card because there is no reason to leave it laying around. There we go. Alright, now that's done. Okay, now the next thing I want to do is take my basic gray ink and a sponge dauber, and I've already done this, but you want to just put some ink around the edges of the card, this is going to put some texture and soften the edges of this layer. So it's not quite so stark, and it gives it some texture and interest, you know? So you'll go around your whole designer series paper piece with the ink, and then I want to put some tear and tape on the back of this strip. Now I'm using tear and tape because I have found that when I'm using the 3D embossing folders, or even really with any of the embossing folders, there's so much texture here that sometimes the snail adhesive just doesn't hold it down very good. So I like to use the tear and tape so that way I know it's not going to go anywhere. I mean, how embarrassing would it be for me if I gave this card to someone and the panels started coming off? So that wouldn't be good. So I will use tear and tape instead of snail just on this section here. And that just guarantees me that my paper isn't going to peel off. Okay. Now this piece is already a little bit longer because the designer series paper is 5 1/4 and this one is 5 1/2. So I'm going to put that on here. But the reason why I'm putting it on is because I have to do that before I tie on my ribbon. So let me bring this around. And I'm just going to tie this into a knot because, this is a man's card, and typically we don't put bows on a man's card. So, I mean, you can if you want to, but I'm going to put a little knot here. There we go. Very nice. Okay, now, because I already have adhesive on the back here is why I had to do that. Now I'm going to just layer right there. Very good. And then trim my tails like so. Alright. Now we've got that done. Okay, now my fella, I want to put him up on dimensionals, so let me grab some dimensionals here. And, I'm just going to put them down the middle. Let's see. Let's put one right there, and then let's put this little fella right here on the end. There we go. All right. This card is really quick and simple to do, which I love. I love quick and simple cards. I like really fancy ones too, but sometimes, especially when you've been out in the sun, it's really nice to just do, oh goodness, that's crooked. It's really nice to just do something simple. I like the idea. So there we go. Bring my ribbon down just a little bit here. And then I'm going to put my fella right about there. Okay, now I'm using liquid adhesive for the laurel wreath because it's got little tiny fine details, and you can use the sponge and silicone matte method if you want to. But another thing you can do is just add some little dots every little bit, and that'll be fine to hold your piece onto your card. Okay, so I'm just going to add some drops just like that. And then I'm going to put the wreath right about there. Hold it for just a second to let the glue dry. And we're good. Alright, now I need to get my plaque established here. So I'm going to use snail to attach the front of the plaque to the layer. And as you can see, that layer fits beautifully. And then I'll put, let's see, I've got some little smaller pieces here. I will put a couple of dimensionals here, right there on the points. And then I'm going to pop this up and then we will be done. This is a really, really quick and fabulous card. Just like that. All right, there we go. What do you think, friends? Is it good? You love it?